All right. Good morning, guys. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching from. And you're welcome to my page. I am MaziFX, right? It's actually been a while. I stopped doing my updates, but I want to continue again. All right. So this is actually a trade I took, yeah, this morning. I was actually supposed to take this trade at market open, but I slept off. If I would have gotten a very good RR from this trade, but I slept off and I'm getting less than 3 R. That's like 2.98 R. But still, a profit is a profit. It's not actually a waste. And from looking at my screen, you can see that what is actually sponsoring price is the 4 hours time frame, right? 4 hours structure from the way I mark my structure, right? So looking at this, you can see around this zone, you can see the break of structure, right? Price came up here, price gave us a pullback, right? And price broke a structure. You can see the body close there, body close. I will normally I can still draw it to this straight point, but if you look at this point, there's actually no break of structure. It's just a what? A wick. There was no body close above this, and the next candle did not close with a body, or it actually did. Okay, so I guess this is where we had our main break of structure. At the body close above this candle that used a wick to pierce this high, right? So this is where we had our break of structure. So now I'm expecting what? A pullback into this zone, right? So we can take our what? Our buy. But I do confirmation entry. So since the time frame that works with 4 hours is 15 minutes, so let's go down to 15 minutes. So looking at 15 minutes, yeah, I can see the last 15 minutes structure should be this. Let me see. Okay. All right. So the last 15 minutes structure should be this. That's why I labeled it change of character. Right? From this high to this low is our last 15 minutes structure. And at this point, you can say some persons can call this a break of structure, but to me, it's not a break of structure. Why? Because we did not have any body close. Here is just a week. Here a week, no successful body close. Here again, no successful body close until we got a body close here. This is where we had our body close. So that is where I can say, okay, this is now my break of structure. The way I trade, this is now my break of structure. So at the break of this point now, we now have a change of character of 15 minutes. So meaning 15 minutes has now aligned with 4 hours. So if I want to take more trades here, I can say, okay, let me delete this. Let me delete this. No, there's no point. So I can just mark this. If you see, this is my next buy zone now. This other block here, this 15 minutes, just in case we will get a pullback, I'll take another trade from here and trade the 15 minutes intraday range. Our 15 minutes intraday range is from this low to this high that we are seeing currently. So if we get a pullback to this point, I'll take another buy and exit here. I'll just treat it as an intraday position, or I might target this high, whichever I want to do, right? But if I see that this particular point from here to here gives me a good arrow, I'm going to enter here and exit here because this one is very short. Since I'm expecting price to come here, there's no how price will not hit this. You get? So this is how I actually what made me take this particular trade, right? So I will see you guys. Okay, let me check if there's another possible trade that is building up. Let me check US 30. I think I spotted something there on US 30. Oh shit. Okay. So now looking at US 30 from the way I mark structure, I think this particular structure is from 15 minutes. And looking at this point, you guys can clearly see that here is our last previous break of structure. Here is our second break of structure. If you check, there's a body close. I don't mark break of structure without a body close. If it's a week, then it's not a break of structure. You can see the body close. So, and at this point, we now had our change of character, M15CH. Okay, so that is where we had our change of character. So price came down and bounced off this previous 15-minute zone, 15-minute structure zone, came up now, tested this our change of character zone, right, and gave a reaction. Initially, the way I trade this thing, I didn't take this sell because sometimes what can actually happen is price can break it. US 30 is a very volatile pair, so price can break it and start going higher, right? Since he did a deep retracement before coming up, so he can break it and go higher. So me taking this sell here, I consider it a risky sell, but in terms of structural marking, it aligns with structure. So as price is fast approaching to this point, price started giving us an internal 15-minute structure. I took this trade last week before market closed, and this was news. You can see the large reaction here that happened here. This was news that caused this. Then price did what? After creating this structure, price swept it, then created another structure here again. If you can check, you can see where we had our break of structure. All these were just weak above the previous high. Weeks till we finally got a body close above this current week here, and that is where we had our what last 15-minute break of structure. So I was expecting US 30 to buy from this zone for a continuation, but obviously it closed with a body. So now that it closed with a body, it has given us a what change of character. So now we are now selling. It is now sure that US 30 wants to go down. So what I'm expecting now is for US 30 to go and what go to 4 hours what structural zone, or we'll check. So now my next point of interest is here now. This is now my next point of interest. I call this the Mazi zone. For those who know me already on the timeline here, I call this the Mazi zone. Then my other block is, this is now my other block zone. So this is my first entry point. I'll be looking forward to take my first entry here. So just in case we get a pullback, pullback to this point, I'm taking a sell to get out of here, or just stretch it a bit lower. Since I'm anticipating for price to come to this point, this is now the current target. After the change of character, this becomes our next target. So where am I expecting price to get to? Let's see what 4 hours is telling us. Okay, looking at 4 hours, I'm expecting this low to be taken, and I'm expecting price to break here and come into this zone, because 4 hours don't actually have a valid structure. 4 hours does not have a valid structure here. There's no 4 hour structure at all for me. So I'm expecting price to what? Drop all the way down here, right? And react from this point. We can now take our buy, because that is like the daily reaction point. The daily reaction point, that's our daily reaction point. You guys know what I trade now is TFA, that's time frame alignments. I no longer trade Quasimodo, though I still use Quasimodo as entry model sometimes, but it's just an entry model. So what I do now is I align time frames before I take any trade. So what I'm looking at now, I'm looking for price to take this low, because price came to this point, right? After I created this high, price came back, swept this low, swept liquidity here, tried to make a new high and failed. Now it's returning. So what can possibly happen? What can possibly happen is this market can come down to this point, resweep here. But if price on 4 hours time frame, if 4 hours candle here failed to close below this line and gives us a nice reaction, then we can expect a higher price. But I'm going to confirm when 4 hours comes to this point. So 4 hours must not close with a body below this line. If 4 hour closes with a body, then we are coming to this point, right? To this point, because I'm expecting here to be swept. This point I'm expecting here to be swept. It's acting like an inducement based on how I currently trade. All right, so that is what I'm anticipating for Dow Jones US 30. So guys, I'll see you guys on my next video. Right, see you guys on